Hello everybody, welcome to M's Life and Finance, where we discuss life and we discuss finance. Two things before we get started. First off, thanks for the support guys, it's been great. I'm really having a fun time with this channel. I'm also loving to hear your comments. It's been a good way to interact with other people. I am very happy I started this so far and I intend on keeping to do it. So if you're not subscribed, it's a good time. But the second one is that this video is gonna highlight a huge mistake that I've made in my personal finances and also personal life, I would say, even more on the second part. It's a good blend. It's why we have this channel to talk about life and finance. Basically, I just want to highlight that everybody makes mistakes. It's absolutely fine to make mistakes. So if you ever made one, I'm sure you did, don't beat yourself up about it. It's absolutely normal to make them. As long as you learn from them and you avoid to repeat them, this is the key of life. The key of life. You make mistakes, you don't repeat them, you learn. As always, same conditions, different behaviors. That's what life is all about. That said, let's laugh a little bit about this guy. What was my personal worst purchase? It was a motorcycle. I know, but not just any motorcycle. It was an adventure motorcycle, a BMW F800 GS. Yes, it was used, at least that. And I sunk some amazing 8.5k on this machine. It gets worse. It really gets worse. Let's get to the backstory of all of this, how this unfolded, because you'll realize I have done some stupid shit back in the day. I mean, it wasn't like back in the day because it was 2022, so it was like 4 years ago, 3.5 maybe, so it was pretty recent, and I like that because it means that I've learned something in the meantime. And oh boy, this was probably my biggest life lesson in so many ways that I just hope you can take that out of the video, or you probably already have had something like this, some experience like this, so if you have, make sure to tell it in the comments. I really want to hear it, guys. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who does stupid things like this, so as always, leave a comment with your experience. In Europe, basically, you can only get an A-licensed motorcycle, which was what I got after you turn 25. I started taking the motorcycle license because you need one. A bit before that, like you can take the theoretical classes. They're not so difficult. I got the driver's license, so motorcycle is probably a bit easier after that. There are like 4 categories of motorcycles. AM, which is basically until 125 cc's, so it's like very small bikes, even scooters. You can get it automatically after 25 and 3 years of having a driver's license, which in hindsight should have been what I got in first, because I got into motorcycling without any prior experience and I bought like this huge hunk of metal, this huge machine, which if you know motorcycles, it's basically an SUV for motorcycles. It's okay at many things, but not good at necessarily something. It's really like that. It's like the identity crisis motorcycle. It's expensive. It's not great for anything. It's good for some things and good for others, but not necessarily a great category of motorcycles, especially for a beginner. But yeah, there is the A1 and A2 licenses after the AM, which you can get before you're 25, so it's like smaller bikes. They're like until 500cc, which gets you already a pretty respectable bike. I don't think you need anything beyond that in hindsight by riding for a few years now. And then there's the A license, which is the good old big motorcycles where you unlock them all at once. This includes categories like basically everything you can think of, like the cruisers, the beloved motorcycle of the American, the Freedom machines, and you can ride basically everything else. So, but yeah, this is more or less the ideal scenario. You play around with some 125cc bikes after you're 25, because they're slow, they're not heavy, and they cap about 70 kilometers per hour, so you cannot really do much with them. This includes scooters, but you can already get some bikes that are fun to ride, like a naked motorcycle, some really uninspiring sport bikes, maybe some dual sport, which is like the motocross bikes but street legal. That in hindsight should have been what I should have gotten. Like a street legal dual sport would have been a lot of more fun than probably this. There's this saying, which is, it's better to drive a slow bike fast than a fast bike slow. I understood that the hard way. That's all I'm gonna say. Considering that I was already 25, I just went straight for the A license, but I should have figured out if I wanted to ride that much by trying a 125cc and gathering some experience. I didn't, so I just chose the worst option of all, even for a motorcycle. I chose a tall, heavy, expensive and powerful motorcycle, which is like the deadliest combo. And considering these things can be literal death machines, it's really a bad choice. But basically what happened was I was influenced by some people around me who told me, oh, get a big, powerful, manly bike, it's safer, it's gonna last you a long time, it's got double brakes. I should add, for a reason, these things can get you into real speed trouble, like it's nobody's business. If you think a car is fast, you haven't seen a motorcycle. Like these small bikes, they can get you to easily. There are bikes getting you to more than 300 kilometers an hour. It's crazy. And people actually get to those speeds. I'm like, I would shit my pants like liquid. I don't know how people do it, but sorry for the visual. It's just not for me. But yeah, when I bought the bike, I had 2 motorcycle lessons, and they were like the really small starting ones, so I didn't do anything that specific or basic. I basically didn't ride. It was just getting acquainted with all the knobs and I don't know how do you call them. Basically the same things that you have on a bike, but just in a motorcycle they are 10x or 100x, like the brakes. If you brake on a motorcycle with the front brake at low speeds, you probably get a punch in the gut. It's the same feeling. I've tried it because I'm that stupid. Basically, if you go like at 30 and you just smash the brakes, you're gonna get like the punch in the gut. It's crazy. It's too powerful. Not to mention, basically if you go full throttle, you're probably not gonna have a good time. Maybe you can even risk crashing, which is not fortunate, but you'll hear a lot about crashing because I'm a bit experienced on that, especially deep overs. But yeah, I took 2 lessons. I paid for a motorcycle 8.5k, a 25-year-old, which had worked for basically a year. Keep in mind this is Portugal, and for Portuguese people, having like 8.5k on cash, it's a big deal. It's really a big deal. A lot of people don't get that in a year. So yeah, I basically got that almost without an emergency fund. Sure, I didn't have, luckily I didn't have that, because in Portugal to study, that's the thing. You don't really need to get into that. I'll make a video about that. I think it's got its pros and cons, but the huge pro is that education is so cheap. Like the whole degree costs you around 5k, just so that you know. Which, okay, it can cost more, but bare minimum 5k without counting like the extra expenses, of course. But just the classes, 5k is like huge deal. You get a master's, like in me, I'm an electronics engineer. I got a master's for 5k. It's incredible. That's beyond the point. I just wanted to contextualize in terms of Portuguese prices, what that's like. I basically did not take a loan for the motorcycle, for the love of God. Thank you, Jesus, for that, because that would have been even worse. And so what happened next? In the week between getting the motorcycle home and paying for it, it was like a week. I had 2 classes. I basically fell on both of them. I started getting a reality check. I just did not know how to ride a motorcycle at all. Basically, the hardest thing you can do on a motorcycle is the figure 8, which is like a low speed, you turn to the opposite side. It's got a lot of technique. You have to turn your head in a specific way. You cannot look at the ground. You have to control the speed and the brakes. There's a lot to it than just, it's not like a rookie thing to do in essence, but you gotta do it to pass the motorcycle test. So I had to do it in my classes and I fell at least twice. That was like huge reality check. I was like, oh man, I should have canceled this thing, but I went through. I didn't wanna not keep my word because, well, at the end of the day, I was the one who messed up, not the guy who sold me the bike. And he basically got the bike home for me because I couldn't. Yeah, and I also didn't have like someone who could get the bike home for me. And the first day I started doing some figure 8s, let's try it. Like my mentality was, let's try it. Maybe I'm just inexperienced, and I need to get some experience. But I just felt twice doing figure 8s because this bike is like heavy as fuck. It's tall. I could barely get my feet on the ground on it. It was way too powerful. Keep in mind, 800cc on a car is already almost the minimum for a car, and consider that on a motorcycle, it was a lot. And this bike is like a tractor, so it's got a lot of torque. It can get to high speeds easily also, but not as easily as a sport bike. But it's not a beginner-friendly motorcycle by any sense of the word. And even on one of these crashes that I had, it was basically a tip over, so I didn't get injured or anything. But I was struggling left and right with the bike. to get it to my driveway, I just couldn't do it. It was just, I could get it beyond the gate and that was it, because it was just too heavy, too powerful. I was afraid to turn it because, well, I had fell twice. And one of them, the visor even fell out. It was just incredible, I would say. That was definitely a very humbling experience. Then my godfather, who had like a 50cc motorcycle his entire life, he got me the bike to inside the garage properly. I didn't tell anyone I crashed though. I was just like, oh well, that's a part of life, I'll take that for myself. I was just too embarrassed in hindsight. I should have talked to someone, like really talked to someone about it, like my dad for example, but I didn't. I was too proud. And yeah, his words were, when he got the bike, because he almost dropped the bike, that's the thing. Like a very experienced guy, 30 years of riding motorcycles, okay, very small ones, but he eventually got a 500cc bike and drives with me. He almost dropped the bike, and his words were like, this is like a tractor, this is too big. And yeah, that was something I would have liked to hear 2 months in the past when I talked to him that I would get this motorcycle, but that's fine. Yeah, but then time goes on. Until Christmas, I didn't touch a motorcycle. I got the license in like beginning of November, so I could do it, but I don't think I should. So that's why I didn't do it. And around Christmas, my dad arrives home for Christmas as an immigrant in Germany. So yeah, basically he never had a big bike, but he rides quite well. He used to ride some friends' bikes, and also he had like a very small motorcycle. That was something very popular in Portugal in the past. You had like the Casal, the Macal, like 50cc motorcycles used to rock back in the day. I wish they were so popular when I got mine, because that way maybe I wouldn't have made this mistake. But I've learned so much that I think I should have gotten this experience anyway, because I just learned so much. It was just a humbling experience overall. Probably I don't think I got as humbled in my life as with this. I got a bit depressed, to be honest, because it's like first big purchase of your life and it's stuck in the garage catching dust. It really broke my heart. But he comes home for Christmas, he decides it's time for him to get a big bike, and he decided that we could split the expense and buy a 250cc bike that would be small enough for me to learn on, and that's basically what we did. So we paid 2k for it. I mean, after all, after paying 8.5, what's an extra k? I mean, yeah, it was just a good purchase. That should have been what I should have gotten in the first place, probably even before the license. I mean, I couldn't get exactly this one to start with, because it's an A2 bike, but I could definitely get something a bit smaller that would have been fine. And of course, I got the bike and started riding basically every weekend, going on slightly longer trips, and I started to have some fun riding, which was the whole purpose of the experience. I did around 5,000 kilometers by Easter, and I decided to give another try on the bike. My dad was there too, he was on the smaller one. I went with the big one. We went to like a Portuguese popular party, which is like a religious party that has almost nothing to do with religion. It's more about the experience of, you know, eating out like in this small barracks and enjoying like carousel and like those electric, like an electric car, like a small electric cars. I don't know what they're called, but they're really fun. And we got there. Of course, I had a tip over on the way, but it was nothing serious. And by the end of that ride, it was alright for me to start riding the bike slowly but surely. And right now I am in 2026, I ride it without basically any issues. I even rode it once with a flat tire, and you don't want to do that on a motorcycle. I almost screamed on the way home. It was crazy. I rode in the rain, like heavy rain, absolutely fine. Of course, we're all careful because, yeah, I do remember the initial struggles, and yeah, it was definitely something that hit me hard, guys. And I wish I'd ride more, to be honest, and that's something I'm going to try to improve this year. I'm going to take a bit of time from basically my side hustle, like the Saturday mornings maybe, to just go on a ride. I think what I'll lose in time, I will learn in productivity, because my mind will be clearer, I would have more fun. I would also experience the world a bit more, and when you get outside, you really get that feeling of new ideas coming in, you know, and that's something I want to do a bit more. I think it will be good for me. I think it's a win-win, not a win something, lose something. And I encourage you to do the same, because even though we have our dreams, we should also focus on what's in our heads, you know. We should have hobbies, not just staying at the computer all day. Humans, us, we were not meant for that. So even with your goals, make sure you enjoy life a little bit. If you probably are wondering, I failed, like 4 times during my motorcycle license, 2 times from the first rodeo on the motorcycle. I never fell on the small one. It was one of the two bikes I never fell on, which is great. And I fell like two more times after that on the big bike. It was once on an off-road situation, which is fine. I mean, off-road is really not the place for this bike to be. It's too large, too heavy, too tall, and too powerful. I definitely cannot do it. Some people can. I was also not in like a very big road, but I got a bit of mud and just fell. It was fine, I didn't hurt myself. And then I felt like last summer because it was the day after I sold my car. So I've already told the story, you can check the previous video, I think. And basically the day after I decided to go for a ride to see my goddaughter and so on. And yeah, I just felt because I was very stupid. The road was basically on maintenance and I decided to do a sharp turn on a road that was a bit too not so safe because it had like this small slope basically between like the parallels. I don't know what you call them. It's like you have in Portugal these roads which are kind of unpaved. They're paved with granite and basically they were pouring concrete. What the fuck? They were pouring, I don't remember the word, goddamn. You know, tarmac over it. Yeah, they were pouring tarmac over it and there were like this slope of like 5 to 10 centimeters at least, and basically I fell onto it. It was yeah, basically the moral of Portuguese word of Portuguese roads are trash sometimes, and I just fell because of it. That's my excuse and not because of my lack of skill or because the bike is too heavy. And before we finish, yes, I did consider selling the bike multiple times. I actually had it for sale, but nobody picked it up because the winter months, why should you bother getting a motorcycle on the winter months? I mean, yeah. So I ended up not selling it. It still has held up value pretty well, which is great. Motorcycles don't depreciate as much as cars, and I bought intelligently, I have to admit. The bike is quite popular to this day, and a lot of people love it. It was basically one of the last German motorcycles, like the motor is made in Austria, which nowadays it's basically all done in China, so it has a bit better quality. I also experienced that with my car. Like my new car is just not as good of a quality as the old one. You know, old things were just better. That's the reality. I think everybody has experienced that to this point. But as we get towards the end of the video, I just like to highlight that making mistakes is a part of life. As long as you don't make them twice, it's absolutely fine. It's one of the life experience that I cherish so much, even though it was just traumatic, negative, depressing, and monetarily very expensive. Sure, the stock market wasn't booming at that time. It was right after the Ukraine war, so yeah, which is still going on. Goddamn, you know? If you think you have it bad, imagine those guys who have to wake up like with bombs over their heads. Just crazy. It's a crazy world. But yeah, please share your thoughts on this stupid purchase in the comments. If you like motorcycles also, if you have one, just let me know. I love to talk about motorcycling in general. I've tried to not go over too much motorcycling because I know not everyone is a fan. I just wanted to highlight a stupid purchase in both life and finance, which is the purpose of this channel. And also comment your most stupid purchase. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You know, it's a judgment-free zone. Everybody makes mistakes, us included. So, as always, leave a like and have a good day. Bye!